Well, it's quite possible, but the players are ready. Here we go. MarineLorD versus DeMu. Big match coming up for both of these players. Also classic rivalry between these two players. It's a very fun set that's coming up, Aussie. Before we jump in, what's your prediction for this one?
I got to go MarineLorD. Even though he's in a difficult matchup here, I think he's going to take out this first game. But I suspect it's going to be really close. If I had to give a percent, I'd say 51% MarineLorD, 49% DeMu. How about you, Lida? What do you reckon?
I'm going 70-30 for MarineLorD. I'm a believer in the Frenchman. We'll have to see if he plays it out. But this madman has dropped 5 games in the entire tournament so far. That's ludicrous. Think about that. He has played 12 sets, only dropped 5 games. I'm a believer in MarineLorD. But again, this is more important for DeMu than it is for MarineLorD. So DeMu is going to play his heart out in this one.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be the case that MarineLorD comes in with a huge advantage, but we head in now to game number 1, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. We're here on Hill and Dale as two of the world's best players look to battle it out in EGC TV's Elite Classic. We're here in the main event, Lidakor. It's an absolute pleasure to be casting this best of 3 series between these two talents. And of course, I'm incredibly excited to see the Chinese.
Of course you are. You're always excited to see Chinese, right?
I am. I'm always very excited to see it. I'm going to be studying the build order. Even though I don't play China as my main civ anymore, it's still very close to my heart. And, you know, there's always so many intricacies to the Chinese opening that you've got to be looking at. So many nuances. And, you know, the fact that he's taking deer right now early on in this dark age, you know, there's so many factors that are to be considered here. Like, okay, he's taking deer, and it's going to be a great source of food early on, but it's not going to be a great source of tax early on. So it means he's going to need to have an extra villager on gold, those sorts of things, and that will affect his timing. All right, well, we do see the village going down, and he interestingly leaves it off the gold mine, puts it just straight in front of the TC. So could be looking to save a little bit of space on the base. And I guess, to be honest, gold's probably not the most important thing to protect here towards the front of the base. He's probably going to have the Barbican down on it. So just goes with a nice little safe village there at the front. Keeps it away from the back where he wants those farms.
Yeah, speaking of gold, if you take a look at the minimap, neither of the players have a really good fallback option, or even just a secondary gold mine that they can easily and safely access. So as this game goes on, that gold control is going to be critical, and both players will have to contest the map to get any kind of access to gold, frankly.
Yeah, I've just realized that. So I'm assuming this is EGC TV's version of Hill and Dale, which removes that large gold from the base. So you can expect to see a fair bit of action on this map. Normally, for the Chinese, you'd be very happy to stay inside that base for 20 minutes because you've got the big gold. You can gather all the gold, and you know one of the things that you'd see players do would be gather the gold and then buy other resources with it because they would have that much gold. But it's not going to be the case today for MarineLorD. But let's take a look at this Ark, and what do you rate this one out of 10, if you had to say?
Ooh, this is a tricky one. I'm actually a fan of this. I will probably go with like a 6 or 7, given the circumstances. I could have seen it elsewhere. It's not going to buff the gold miners. It's not going to buff the hunters. Although I think if you push in the deer under your TC, it will probably reach it. There could have been other spots, possibly. Like, it's not going to buff the stone miners either. The thing I love about it is that it's safe. And I think, especially given DeMu's history on this map, given how aggressive he played, or how aggressive his opponents were in some of the previous sets he played on this map, I feel like that safety element gives a bit of an extra credibility for the placement of that Aachen Chapel.
Yeah, I got to agree. Because there's a part of me that wants to go for that juicer of the Aachen Chapel. You know, the one that sits over on the deer pack next to the berries and it's buffing up the stone. Those feel so good, especially if you want to go for that really quick Imperial Age. I guess in this circumstance, playing a little bit safer makes sense, and it creates that easy transition over to farms for DeMu in that early stages of the game. Because one of the things we have sort of seen a trend towards are those early farms.
Yep, and it's going to be a big factor, especially given the fact that, as you mentioned, and this is something that you often kind of point out in these HRE games, the fact that you have the higher gather rate thanks to the prelates and the Aachen Chapel means that you deplete your resource bank on top of that hill a lot faster. That hunt will be gone in a matter of moments, and then you need some sort of extra food to work with, like the farms.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's important you diversify that food income pretty early as well, because the sooner you start diversifying it and getting those farms, then the longer you're going to be able to be on the other food sources as well, which means that your transition is going to be a little bit softer and not just going to hit a wall eventually. But we do see on the other side the age ups coming through. Let's have a look at the positioning here of the Imperial Academy for MarineLorD and see what resources it actually picks up, because it looks like he's got a pretty decent spot back here. So similarly, opts for the wood line, but manages to hit the mill, which will also collect the berries, and will hit the deer, of course, as well. So I think this is a pretty decent Imperial Academy spot, about as good as you could ask for.
Yeah, this is a really nice Imperial Academy indeed. Barbican just now coming up. It's going to be nicely positioned at the front. Love that it's not only kind of overseeing that gold mine, it also secures 2 tiny forests, and that's always an extra benefit. It's an added bonus for that Barbican. And given how little wood you have at the top of the hill, 2 extra tiny forests secured is actually really great value for this Barbican.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people will forget that China goes through wood incredibly quickly. Yep. Even though you do get that 20% free off the top, you still go through it pretty damn quickly in the early stages of the game. So yeah, securing that wood's going to help. But we do see the town center location coming down for DeMu, and have a look at this little one. He's got, the classic castle on the hill sort of vibes coming out right now. It's right on the edge of the cliff face. Imagine
the view from the windows of that DC.
It's look, it's probably a little bit more expensive than the main town center. The main town center's got all the smell of the mutton nearby. It's like, oh, this is disgusting. They don't even salt it. It's not the nicest. Whereas this one, it's just a wood line and beautiful cliffs. Wonderful view.
On the other side, second DC will be a thing as well for MarineLorD. Now, we've seen DeMu's second DC placement. Where do you reckon that MarineLorD is going to place his?
If I had to bet, and I'm a betting man, not really. I would say either just behind the stone mine, like quite literally behind the stone mine, or behind the town center. So yeah, look at this. Hold on, we got Vils moving out here. I think you just go somewhere safe with it though. It makes sense as China. You want to kind of keep your base compact. Actually, we did see him do this before.
Yep.
He just puts it on the second hunt and doesn't even bother with the supervision. And I think in this matchup, it probably doesn't make sense. We've seen him do it in the matchup versus the French, and that kind of makes sense because French are going to be hitting you with those raids, with their knights. But the second TC here, it's going to have a little bit of uptime before those raids come through. So I suspect you could probably justify a wall down here, but he is going to opt for it. So there's some good things about this, and there's some bad things about this. So obviously, good thing, safe villages. Bad thing, no supervision.
Yeah, no supervision is going to haunt him a little, but the thing I like about this is that this choice was made based on what he has seen from DeMu. He saw the second DC, he saw the lack of production buildings, the barracks are just now being built, so he knew that he could sneak out there, and DeMu isn't going to stop that. Now, DeMu wants to go into these feudal age men-at-arms, and that's going to be a bit of a challenge for MarineLorD to hold, especially if DeMu commits heavily to this. So MarineLorD is going to have to start prepping for that, and you really get the feel that here, his answer in the feudal age is likely going to be probably the Chukunu.
Yeah, it's something that we've seen him do, or something that we've seen him play into before. So he's quite comfortable doing this. One thing to note, though, is obviously with DeMu heading for those early barracks, he could be looking to shut down this town center quite early on. So that could become painful.
Yeah, that could be a problem. MarineLorD has seen the barracks, so he knows fully well what's going on. He knows fully well that there will be men-at-arms coming. If it was only one barracks, you would say, okay, we might see a couple of units out there, but double barracks, it's a clear indication that DeMu wants to be very aggressive here, and you see the response already. Chukanus are coming out. It's going to be double ranges. He might even supervise some of them, but he's a little strained on food, so his production might not be spectacular at the beginning here.
Yeah, this is always an issue, It's something that you see Holy Roman Empire players deal with, especially once they've got a Burgrave up. It's that heavy food intake or production that's required for those men-at-arms. So we can see him doing a little bit of a run-by right now, heading towards the back of the base, just looking to shut them down. It almost looks like we're watching an English player in the Dark Ages here as that single men-at-arms comes through and just looks for a resource that it can attach itself to.
Yeah, there's the mill. That's going to be annoying to deal with. On the other side, we have the boar coming in, though. So a lot of food accessible here for MarineLorD. Even if he misses out on those sheep for a moment, he is going to have access to the boar, he has access to the hunt, so it's really no big deal. In fact, he's more than happy just sending away the villagers from there and having food come in from the boar or the hunt.
All right, well, so far 8 Chukunu out. Going to be moving up to a total of 12 as well. So still building up those numbers here. And really an interesting style. I don't think I've ever seen this before on Kill and Dale. But it looks like the wall might get up. I think MarineLorD will sacrifice this Vil. As long as he can get the wall up, he'll be happy. And indeed he does. And that's going to mean it's a little bit more difficult to get in on this top side. It will mean that raid is essentially just going to be shut down for the moment.
Yeah, Chukunus are heading that way as well, which means that not only will the man-at-arms be picked, the scout might also go down, and that would deprive DeMu from all the vision he has. He only has one scout to work with. You see, there's a second batch of man-at-arms coming in. Then indeed, there goes the scout. Man-at-arms will also be taken down. And now, DeMu's going to have a bit more of a tough time finding those targets because those men-at-arms, they don't have a huge line of sight.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult for him. But you can see now managing to get the charge through. I'm not sure if he's got that extra movement speed in just yet. You know, those Holy Roman Empire players love to get that extra movement speed from marching drills. But the villagers do get pulled back. Look at the control coming out from MarineLorD. A couple of low health villagers in there. Looks like he might be able to keep them alive for now, but it's going to turn them around. Loses one. That you're going to continuing to fire down. Managing to take out a lot of these men-at-arms, but they are going to be able to get one villager. I take that back. He's lost 3 villagers already. So DeMu somehow in the midst of it, picking up some Vil kills right there.
Yeah, decent value, but is it good enough? That's the question. 3 villagers, but you lost about 6 men-at-arms for it. Given that DeMu is going to beat MarineLorD to Castle Age, I feel like this was a good value for him. But, well, like, you look at this scenario and say, okay, this was fine, but it's not like, oh yeah, this was amazing, right?
Yeah, I think what's important to note is that DeMu has gotten to Castle Age here. And the key here is that MarineLorD doesn't know when to stop making Jukunu because he's still making them at this point, and obviously he doesn't need to keep making them, but he wants to keep making them because the more you've got, the more easily you're able to deal with the men-at-arms. But obviously DeMu took the pedal, or took the foot off the pedal, and now he's in this position where he is able to age up, able to get a heads up on MarineLorD, and should be able to get out onto the map and start picking up relics. But we can see MarineLorD's already started to wall up the relics, which is a real important thing to do against the Holy Roman Empire.
This is worrisome for DeMu. He's outnumbered very heavily. He only has 13 men-at-arms, and he's just now grabbing the +1 defense upgrade. When MarineLorD sees the Castle Age, he might just go and try to pick off as many of those men-at-arms as he can. And as you said, he's walling in the relics. He's buying him a lot of precious time. Food is there for a Castle Age. Gold is quite lacking right now for him. But it's not like he's going to be beaten very heavily to Castle Age here. And with the relics walled in, it might be a challenge for DeMu to really carve out a relic advantage before MarineLorD reaches Castle Age.
Yeah, let's take a look now at each of those relics, because I can see that there are walls on the minimap. But the question is, are they foundations or are they walls? Because these bad boys, every single one it looks to be walled in. So we've got 1 walled in, 2 walled in, 3rd one walled in, and last one down in that corner, it's walled in. So all 5 relics are currently walled in, safe behind MarineLorD's wall. So even though he's managed to get that quick age up through, he's not going to be able to do anything with it.
Yep. And there's a transition from DeMu to Horseman here. Now, I'm not sure if MarineLorD is anticipating this just yet. The stables have been hidden at the back. But he's got 40 Chukunu. He can deal with a couple of Horsemen. Until DeMu gets to like 15, 20 of them, it's going to be probably fine for MarineLorD. And you see he's heading towards Castle Age himself. It looks like he is anticipating a cavalry switch. Spearman upgrades now coming in for him.
Yeah, this is very, very safe from MarineLorD. And we've seen the way that he's played. I actually just casted a game with MarineLorD, and he was very happy to play Jukunu and Spear, even in like towards the mid-Castle Age, which is kind of wild for me because typically in the past, China has almost always just avoided this composition when it comes to the Castle Age, but he's very happy to play it. We can see him pushing out now. The Jukunu numbers looking really solid here before that age up comes through though, so he's going to be a little bit careful about this positioning in the fight, Lidakor.
Yeah, he needs to be careful. Needs to fall back here. Chukunu upgrades coming in. I don't think he's supervising it. But the Spearmen are doing a good job body blocking. It looks like he is going to buy enough time until the upgrades come in.
Yeah, you can see that +2 is now only just coming through for DeMu, so it means that he's going to be sitting on a comfortable amount of armor, but not an amazing amount. He's going to be able to fall back towards the barbecue, able to keep these Shukunu alive a little bit longer, and beautiful micro coming out from MarineLorD, as you would expect from one of the best in the world when it comes to the micro game. And now finds a beautiful little choke point. He's going to be able to park all of these Shukunu in and says, all right, well, let's see if you want to fight into this because, well, I'm happy to sit here all day and shoot my little bows.
And the attack upgrade is just now coming in for those 2 canoes, so these would just get even stronger. DeMu is up to 7 horsemen, but many of those men-at-arms are heavily battered. And it looks like he's still just focusing down those walls for the time being, trying to get those relics out there. MarineLorD out there to stop it. He might actually get the prelate killed here.
Yeah, got to be super careful, and he doesn't want to fight right now because +2 just came through from MarineLorD, so he's going to be doing double damage here. +2 ranged armor comes in just in the nick of time for DeMu. He's now up to a total of 6 armor on those men-at-arms, and will be resetting back down to 1 damage every single shot from those Jukunu. So you can see right there, 7 damage on the Jukunu against the 6 armor of the men-at-arms. But it's really just a case of MarineLorD has got to do all the micro here. And DeMu's just, you know, he's in the base, he's macroing, he's making farms, he's having a good time, he's getting relics behind this. Whereas MarineLorD, he is just slowly and steadily hiding back here, but the reality is he doesn't get a lot out of this. You can see the numbers are starting to fall now as well. He's down to 29 Jukunu. Doesn't feel like his position here is increasing in its potency. The men-at-arms are doing a wonderful job of forcing them back.
Absolutely. And you see he's yoinking the relics behind this. He's up to 2. There's a third one that's very secure for him. He's going to take that. And I think the critical detail is that, as you said, this wasn't kind of a slaughter of the Jukunu. This was an even trade. You see the resources value or the army value destroyed at the bottom left. It's pretty much even. They traded armies, but this is perfectly fine for DeMu. He's down by 12 vills, but he will secure those critical relics. And with the food and gold income he will have, he could also get to Imperial faster than his opponent. So for the context of this game, for the position that the players are in right now, these fights have been more than satisfactory for DeMu.
Yeah, I got to agree with you on that one. It definitely feels like DeMu can be happy with how this has gone so far. The key here is whether he's going to get that 4th relic or not, and it doesn't look like he is. Normally that is pretty much your standard goal for the Holy Roman Empire. If you're not hitting those 4 relics, you're going to have a bad time. Obviously, 3 relics is still pretty good, but you want to be getting that 4th relic, especially in this matchup. But yeah, so it's going to mean that 2 relics will probably go over here, but we do see the forces moving up towards the north side, and I think we may have a prelate coming out here. So even though he gives away the safe relic on that south side, or rather contested relic, looks like he might be trying to steal away the safe relic of MarineLorD in this north part of the map.
Yeah, and I love how he's using those horsemen as well. He's got a lot of mobility here. The Jukunu are pretty slow. Men-at-arms have been used as kind of the units to break through the walls with, but you see, they'll just be the diversionary force here. Prelate will try to sneak in, yoink the relic, although he might think twice of this now that the Jukunu have arrived. But the key thing here is that he's distracting the Jukunus now, and you see the middle of the minimap, 19 horsemen heading towards those walls. He's stretching out the attention of MarineLorD so well.
Oh, and he's going to lose that prelate. Oh, unfortunate timing. He could have just kept those units in the holes. Like, MarineLorD is only adding in crossbows now. This is really late to add in crossbows. He's been in Castle Age for probably, like, what, 3-4 minutes at this point? He could have had, like, this entire army could just be crossbows at this point. And he's yet to really transition into it. So only Jukunus. So that means that, yeah, like, one little thing right there from DeMu, and it's going to mean that he loses out on that relic. So he's now sitting on the 3 relics, a lot less gold income. So this makes it a bit more tough, but he's starting to capture sacred sites behind this. And take a look at that push on the front. DeMu is not taking the foot off the gas here.
I love this. He knows he's facing a lot of Jukunu. He pulled them to the north, so the middle is open right now. And he's more than willing to dive in here, pick a couple of villagers off with the horsemen, and then just disengage. And as you said, behind this, he's securing sacred sites. He's got 3 relics out there, so he's more than happy with his position right now. You see, MarineLorD has to pull away the villagers from gold, and don't forget, we've been talking about the gold scenario. That gold mine is nearly gone, and there is no secondary gold mine available right now for MarineLorD.
Well, in the north is just going to say, hey mate, how you doing? Look what I've got. And you will never get this. It's that classic case. But yeah, I got to agree with you. But look at this attack coming through now on the villages, on the farms. A whole bunch of vills back here. We start to see those vill kills rising. DeMu now killing 9 villagers. Expect to see double digits shortly. There it is. Plenty of damage being done now on this south side of the base. All the farms going to be idled. You can see the villagers just running for their lives at this point. MarineLorD in trouble. MarineLorD in big trouble if these horsemen manage to make a connection here.
Yeah, and they do. They are slaying villagers. You see, Jukunu are slow to catch up here. The men-at-arms are also hitting the lumberjacks from the north. This is a really good raid in here, Aussie. Villager count is now equalizing. 17 villagers killed already by DeMu.
think DeMu's just dropped a keep on the double gold for MarineLorD. If that is the case, that's pretty much a nail in the coffin right there. And it means the only gold that MarineLorD can look to take is that one in the center of the map. And that's going to be so difficult for him to control just because it's right next to DeMu's reinforcements. So all of his units are going to be coming right into there. And if he wants to go Castle H, he very easily can. So if MarineLorD drops a keep on that gold, it's as simple as DeMu just, you know, rolling over the top. But he's already got a keep there anyway to defend it. He's in such a solid spot right now.
Yeah, he's in a really good spot now. MarineLorD's army is a lot larger right now, but he doesn't have that heavy siege to destroy those castles with. There is just so much buffer area right now for DeMu to work with. Boiling Oil now coming in, Spring Golden placements on those keeps coming in. He will start securing the sacred sites now. He could even start the timer. And as you said, he simply doesn't need to push anymore because he knows fully well that MarineLorD is just starving for gold.
I've got to really compliment DeMu in this game. The way that he's playing right now is insane. He just, it feels like he is one step ahead of MarineLorD at every single point in this game. You know, with the men-at-arms coming in, the fact that he was just using that as a diversion to get up to castle slightly sooner so that he can get out onto the map and contest those relics because he knew they were going to be walled in. The fact that he's attacking up towards the top side, but at the same time hitting at the middle, manages to get that runaround, kills 20 villagers while he's doing it, at the same time places the keep down and takes sacred sites behind it. Like, he's just doing so many things.
Yeah, you said the magic word, diversion. He has done that so many times. Pulling the Chuka news to the north, diving in the middle, picking off a couple of villagers, or straight up just sacrificing some of his men-at-arms, trading them off against the Chuka Nu to secure the relics. He's been dragging away MarineLorD's attention from the midfield so well, and it's showing. He's got the sacred sites, he's got the relics, and he's got a very difficult position for MarineLorD to contest.
Yeah, you're 100% on the money, but look at this. We got a ram coming out, a nice little attempt from MarineLorD. He's going to pull Vils out here, but it's going to be such a simple save for him. Expect to see a town center thrown down relatively soon out here, just so that he can start claiming that emergency repairs stone. Instead of repairing the towns or repairing the keep with villagers, you can just throw a town center down here, and in the end, it works out like a pretty good trade, actually. But, oh, isn't this painful? Isn't that so painful?
That was terrible. 3 Nest of Bees just picked up here by the Horseman. So much value for DeMu, and Aussie, we're getting close to an Elsbach Palace here for DeMu. At this point, there is little merit in dropping the Palace of Schwabia. He's at 113 wills. But with the position that he has, that Elsbach Palace could be a game changer at the middle of the map.
Yeah, I got to agree. You know, the Elsbach comes down if you're able to connect out those networks and look at these keeps being thrown down. This is just a classic case of, you know, DeMu finding the right timing here, where the Holy Roman Empire have got that tempo advantage in this matchup, and we've just seen it at every single point through this game. Now MarineLorD looking to get a foothold down here on the south side, and that's going to expose to DeMu, hey, this is where you want to put your Swabia right now. You know, the keep is coming down on that spot, so let's put the Swabia down here because that's where he wants to contest. But now in the center of the map, look at this attack size coming through from MarineLorD. He's got a pretty solid defense here. Keep in mind that there's going to be a keep here. The relic is safely inside it as well, which means that you're going to be able to defend pretty easily here. But DeMu's position is looking impeccable at this point. There's the Elsbach coming down.
Yeah, there's the Elsbach coming in. 33 villagers sent to build it. There's a timer going on for the sacred sites as well, and we're getting close to the stage where DeMu could realistically play into the victory condition of the sacred sites. It's not just the added benefit of the gold now, this is a realistic win condition for him because, as you said, this is so difficult for MarineLorD to push. The Elsbach will defend the left side. In the middle, you do have a TC for emergency repairs. There's a relic garrisoned inside that castle as well. And there will be Imperial Age, there will be Colerains, there will be imp upgrades for those men-at-arms, the Horsemen, and it's just going to make the life even more so difficult for MarineLorD.
Not to mention the favorite of all Holy Roman Empire players, cannon upgrades. Cannon emplacements for their outposts, for their keeps. We don't see any through just yet for DeMu, though I'm not sure. Do we see them on the UI? I can't remember whether we see them or not, but we start to see those Imperial upgrades coming through. We've got elite men-at-arms. We've got elite horsemen, tithe barns coming through. We've got is it the slate and stone works, I think it's called, the unique, or reinforced defenses, and there's slate and stone construction coming through. So all of those defensive upgrades now coming through for DeMu, and he's going to be waiting for this timing and then looking to take a fight. Or never mind, he's just going to be going straight in. He's an absolute giga chat at this point. All right, well, the numbers here looking pretty decent. Manages to come around the outside of the keep. He's going to be able to find a connection here on the back line. It looks like he surrounds the nest of bees as it fires off towards the middle. The Chukanu's still out here, but just remember they are doing absolutely no damage at this point. The men-at-arms have got way too much armor, and he just rolls over the top of MarineLorD. He says, MarineLorD, I got 6 minutes until I have a sacred victory. I can do it with or without. I don't mind, baby. I will roll over the top of you very happily.
He's doing this with Castle Age upgrades only, by the way. He doesn't have the imp upgrades on those men-at-arms, the Horseman, the Landsknecht. He's just pushing back MarineLorD so well still. As you said, the composition is just looking so much better. Heavy infantry, the Chukanus now struggle against it. Quite a few Landsknecht that mixed in as well. Just made it very difficult for the Palace Guards to do anything. And you see, as that keep was built, it's already on fire. DeMu will have to pull back, but he's buying himself a lot of precious time. He gets rid of the keep. Now he's up in Imperial. Bombards, Culverins coming in as well. And MarineLorD is still pretty far away from contesting any of those 3 sacred sites.
The problem that MarineLorD's going to have is he needs to get to Imperial. Because if he doesn't get to Imperial, he can't contest the Culverins. The only way he can contest the Culverins is through roller shutter triggers on his Springles. Other than that, he's just going to have to go with Palace Guards. And the problem that he's got is he's only sitting at 180 population, so he still also needs to make units. So now he needs to make units, and he needs to age up, and he doesn't have the economy for it. Can we take a look in his base? Is there a couple of missing farms or something right now? Because it feels like the food economy for MarineLorD is lacking on where it should be. Now, granted, he's lost a lot of villagers this game, and you can see right now, like these farms should be 3 rows thick around these granaries, but he's missing an entire side.
I think the bigger issue is the gold. He's got 2k food per minute. That's alright-ish, but we talked about the lack of access to gold. In fact, I'm actually shocked that he's got 600 gold per minute, because I don't think he's got a single gold miner working right now.
He's got Imperial Palace, Imperial officials, apologies. And they actually provide a lot of gold per minute. As long as you optimize your building placement, you can get up to like 1,200 gold a minute just off those bad boys. But you've got to be making a lot of trash. But speaking of trash, DeMu now going to be losing a couple units to trash. Don't go down, Bombard. He manages to live, making it through onto the back line. The Jukanu just powering through all of these horsemen on the top side. But I don't even think it's going to matter. Honestly, the numbers here are way too strong from DeMu. Short of a sneaky Sacred Site decap, this looks like it's almost certainly going to be a good game coming out here. DeMu is just in an incredible spot.
Yeah, DeMu will rebuild that castle in a blink of an eye. You see he's already making towers, 3.5 minutes left to go. Armies are dead even, but there's a whole age advantage right now for DeMu. Now he's got the upgrades. MarineLorD starting to get desperate here, trying to drop a castle right on the sacred site.
There's a Bombard right there. Go, Bombard. Do your job, Bombard. Come on, I believe. Bombard, wake up. What are you doing? Hit the man. Lord Doubt shines upon thee. Finally, the Bombard wakes it up. He decides, I'm going to take you out. You can see the Bombard is having a field day. The Culverin also looking to take out the Trebs on the back line. And MarineLorD can't contest this. At this point, he loses the Culverins. Rather the Trebs. It's almost certainly good game. There's no way he can really contest this at this point. It's way too hard. Now, of course, that keep is going to be, doing a decent job of defending the Trebs. But the problem is you don't have any way to contest the Bombards because you're not Imperial Age. Because you can't get your Springlets out with their extra 12 range, so they're just going to tie to the Culverins. It's checkmate. It's checkmate.
Oh, it's getting so difficult for MarineLorD. He's got a lot of gold now, but as you said, lack of food is still haunting him. Army numbers looking much better for him. He's actually going to start the decap in the middle. No units on the sacred side from DeMu. Buys a couple of precious seconds over here for MarineLorD.
You got to remember, this madman's got Bombard towers, and if there's one thing to know about Bombard towers, it's that they are very good at killing things. All right, well, for the moment he holds with the siege. You can see he's got some decent numbers out here. The Culverin's helping out as well. Looks like he's trying to work down that outpost that's got the relic in it. Expect to see emergency repairs coming through on that single outpost. Looks like it might go down here. Doesn't have the upgrade for it. You can see, actually, never mind. It's not going to matter. Indeed, it was good game getting called right there. DeMu is going to be victorious in this first game with an absolute impeccable performance on Hill and Dale.
There's a saying that says, great players play their best when they need it the most, and you really feel like that's the case for DeMu here. We talked about how important this set is for him before the set began. Easily, this could be a decider set between him missing out on the playoffs and making it in there, and he has played one of the best games I've seen from him in the last half year. As you said, impeccable use of the HRE, the diversions, and then just playing into that sacred site win condition. Really good start for him on one of his favorite maps, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he has to give us in game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost speechless after how solid that performance was from him. You know, it's a matchup that is favored for you, but at the same time, you're up against one of the best in the world, and it's right when you need it as well that it's coming out. He just, it was just, yeah, it was really good stuff. And earlier when we were talking about what we might see that game, I pointed out that we may see. I heard that. I don't know if the rest of the stream heard that. We're just doing a little bit of a restart behind the scenes. But yeah, I pointed out the fact that if China wants to have the best chance of winning, they need to cheese. Whether that's a barbecue rush, whether that is like a 1TC, Shukunu, Ram all in, whether that is some silly castle shenanigan, I'm not too sure. But I feel like this matchup is just one of those that it's so difficult to play standard. You can play it standard, but the enemy's really got to make a big mistake if you want to pull it out. And DeMu, flawless game, not a single mistake, and rightfully wins the game.
And with that, we go into game number 2. It is going to be on MarineLorD's home map. He had the option to choose either DeMu's home map or his own for game number 2. Opts to go with his own. It is going to be Highview, and oh boy, he's got the Ruse. Aussie, I guess there's a question that I need to ask you. And you know what the question is. So, well,
yes.
Are we going to see 80 bounty from MarineLorD? Is he going to get more than 80 bounty after making 3 scouts?
You know, I guess because it's EGC TV, we can't play the song, but we can all bop to the song like we're listening to it. 80 bounty, 80 bounty. It's a classic. It's an absolute banger. Look, I think it's likely that he probably gets more than 80 bounty. Even if he makes 3 scouts, I suspect he's probably going to get more. Will we know if he's got 80 bounty or not? No, we won't, because there's no way for us to see it in caster mode, even though this is a AAA game, I assure you. We won't know. Until his villagers get that little glow. Once they get the glow, then you know he's hit the 100 bounty threshold. So he'll have more than the 80 bounty. But yeah, that's a good question, Lidakor. What do you expect to see in this map or this matchup? Because to me, it's curious that DeMu's gone with the French here instead of going into the Delhi. Rus versus French is notoriously, well, I guess you could say it's a pretty fair matchup. At least I'd consider it a pretty fair matchup. How do you feel about it?
It's a very knights-heavy game. So one of the things that you expect to see from both players is playing into those knights. The more intriguing question, I feel like, it's not even the matter of town centers that we're going to see. I feel like we will see multiple TCs from both. It may come down to how MarineLorD uses the militias from the Kremlin. Whether that's pushing away the villagers from the gold initially, whether that's popping all of them out at once at the same time, and just saying, okay, I got 15 spearman equivalents to deal with your knights. How can he use those militias to swing those battles against superior French knights?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious whether we see that push. I know that I've been doing, like looking at a fair bit of the Rus matchups, and I know the English one's always a bit of a fun one, but the French one, I suspect it's going to play out quite interestingly with the Kremlin. So we'll have to wait and see how much he looks to bring on board that Kremlin in the second game. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Highview. We're here casting the second game in this best of 3 set. An incredibly important game right now for DeMu to win. He's managed to pull out a victory in the first game. If he can pull out a second victory right here, I tell you what, I'd walk away surprised. This is, I wouldn't say a tough matchup. I'd say it's a pretty balanced matchup, French versus Rus. But you're playing against one of the world's best on a civilization that's considered to be one of the best at the moment.
Indeed. As a bit of a recap, especially because I think these will be uploaded game by game to YouTube, DeMu leads 1-0 in a critical set for him. This could be his make or break between making the playoffs and missing out on it. And it will make his life a lot easier because he's yet to play, I think, Recon and B, who are also kind of at the brink of missing out / making it in. So if he manages to take down MarineLorD over here, that's going to give him a huge advantage over the other people contesting those last playoff spots.
Yeah, that's going to be massive for him. So let's see if he's able to pull it out. I tell you what, I'm rooting for him. Let's see it, DeMu. If you're a DeMu fan right now, let me see it in the Twitch chat. Let me see some excitement. If you're a DeMu fan, type some ones in the chat right now. Come on, Twitch chat. Get on board here. Get out. Support your boy. He's looking to try and make it through. Come on, look at all those ones right there. You know that there are a lot of DeMu fans in the chat right now. Everyone is getting excited. You can see, let's go Baldy. I'm excited to see it. I'm pumped. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do it. So, Lidakor, let's talk about this matchup. We're going to see a Kremlin today. I mean, when was the last time you saw a Golden Gate coming out from a Rus player?
Probably before it was nerfed. It's actually intriguing to see how just a slight nerf... Well, it wasn't even the nerf to the Golden Gate, frankly. It was the extra stone cost added to the TC. It just makes it much more difficult to use the Golden Gate to get your stone for the second TC. And of course, boosting the Kremlin as well with the militias being accessible. It's one of those cases where you weaken the Golden Gate and you strengthen the Kremlin, so now it's essentially always Kremlin for the Rus player.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think there are a couple of things that kind of led to the downfall of the Golden Gate. I guess something in my mind that sort of drives that is the TC nerf, or increasing the cost of the TC from 350 from 300 stone up to 350 really hurt the Golden Gate, because now you don't have that just very simple 2-ticket transition into a town center. Now it's a 3-ticket transition, or 2 tickets and something else, and it just makes it so much harder. It's just, you know what, just give me the Kremlin, I'll take the Gremlins, and we'll call it a day. And it just makes it so much nicer. But we do see the landmarks now starting to come down. Kremlin for MarineLorD, School of Cavalry for DeMu. No real surprises there.
No, not at all. The thing I love about the Kremlin here as well for MarineLorD is that in a matchup that's going to feature a lot of knights and a lot of raiding in Feudal Age, having that extra garrison for your gold miners is also going to be very valuable, because your opponent will look to push you away from the gold so that you fall behind in knights production. Having that Kremlin around, and even having the ability to pop out the militias if the knights arrive, just makes it so much easier for a Rus player to keep those gold miners alive.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where having a forward gold's actually good, right? Like, if you've got a back gold and you put the Kremlin on it, you don't really get a lot of value from the Kremlin unless there's a raid and you can garrison inside. But where it's on the front, now I'm getting line of sight, now I'm getting a defensive building if you push, and most importantly, I've got that garrison spot that's there, ready to go if you do come raid. So I think he's going to be pretty happy with this spawn as well. Now, I'm curious exactly how much bounty he's managed to pick up. Can we take a look? So you can see his villagers are glowing at the moment. So that means at the very least he's got 100. Now, there's no way for us to tell exactly how much bounty he's got. Oh, hold on a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, 375 bounty and only on 3 scouts. Wow. You're going to have to rewrite the lyrics, that's for sure.
That's a lot of bounty indeed. And it ensures that he could squeeze in wheelbarrow as he was going up the Feudal Age. It's going to give him a little bit of a boost here. He already popped the militias as well. And as you mentioned, there is a front gold for MarineLorD, but there's also a front gold over here for DeMu. So those gremlins, they will seek to push away the villagers initially. DeMu, I think, will have enough gold for 1 knight at least. In fact, he already has 1 in queue. He will probably have enough gold for a second one to be queued up as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting how the Gremlins kind of changed this dynamic, right? Because obviously they don't do a huge amount of damage at this point. They are annoying, but it's not quite enough to justify, you know, like opening with an archery range or something like that for DeMu. But it's going to force him off gold, at least for the moment. How much longer do we have on these Gremlins? I would assume, what, like another 30 seconds or so before these guys head their way into the ditch? It's, let's see if we can get a click on one. Yeah, 30 seconds. Look at that. Beautiful.
It's actually deceiving. It's only 20. The UI is actually wrong there. They used to have a 90-second lifespan. Now it's only 80 seconds, but the UI still says 90 seconds. So they die when the counter says 10 seconds, actually.
Oh, really? Well, there you go. I haven't accounted for the nerf. And
if Vodka selects one, we can take a look. Boom.
3, 2, 1. I had 10 seconds left. It was all a ruse. So, I mean, we've got the second town center coming out for DeMu here. This makes a lot of sense. This is probably like this is my favorite French build by far, and I think this is what really gives the French a lot of power. It's that classic 1 night, get out there, start being aggressive, be annoying, and then go straight into the second town center. It's such a nice opening for the French player, because often people won't be sure how many knights you're making, and they will have to determine, okay, well, what's the appropriate response here? And, you know, good players will know, okay, it's only got to be the 1 knight that's coming out, so I only need to make 2 spears, as we see being done here by MarineLorD, even though he's technically going up to a 3rd spear. But I guess we do see a 2nd knight back here at home.
And there are some knights out there. DeMu lost 1 of his scouts in the process. He actually nearly lost the 2nd one as well. He just gets away with a tiny bit of HP. Gremlin's still being oppressive, though. They've been harassing those gold miners. They are harassing the stone miners right now. MarineLorD didn't get a single kill with this, but he's forcing quite a lot of idle time to a point where you see DeMu has just now gotten the stone he needs for the second TC.
Yeah, now, the question is, where does he go for this second TC? Because I see an absolute amazing spot on that north side, but I think it's a little bit too far away. So it looks like he's just going to be going for that hunt over on the west side of his base.
I love that spot, especially because there is a gold mine to the east of, or to the west of it, actually. And if you take a look at his initial gold mines, that's a bad spot for DeMu. So having that extra gold mine in the corner, having a TC close to it, is going to be a benefit for a French player.
That's true. Quite a heavy gold civilization early on. You want to be getting those knights out as much as possible. So having that backup gold is definitely going to go a long way for him. At the same time, we see a very similar timing on the second town center here from MarineLorD. So about a second's difference between these two putting their TCs down.
Yeah, of course, French TCs will work a little faster, so there will be a bit of a head start here for MarineLorD. And it looks like, for DeMu actually, it looks like MarineLorD is also going to stop on one extra TC added here. One side note to add is how he's expanding forward, actually. In fact, he's taking the front stone despite having one at the back. But I love this choice. He's concentrating all his attention to the front. He's not stretching his base out, which is probably good value against a French player who is looking to get value on these kind of small pocket ecos on that stretched out base element.
Yeah, definitely true. Now, one interesting decision that we're seeing here is DeMu's going to be opening with a barracks in the feudal age. So obviously starts with that school of cavalry. The normal follow-up you see is the archery range. It just makes sense, right? You make cavalry, your enemy's going to make spears to deal with that, and then all the spears, you need to deal with those, so you're going to make archers. Very simple. We see him actually going into the barracks, which complicates things a little bit.
Interesting idea. I'm not necessarily against it, but he needs to be cautious with this. Especially because MarineLorD will have the option to switch into cav archers once he gets to Castle Age. In fact, the other thing that DeMu will have to look out for is that MarineLorD could play heavily into the spears and the archers and just play a feudal push. Good value here for the knights, though. Sneaky charge from the south, picks off a villager, gets a second one as well.
Yeah, really nice little job coming through. Remember that there's now two factors that are going to be affecting this villager count. It's not just the faster town centers coming out from the French on the side of DeMu. It's also going to be these annoying knights that are coming through and getting these villager kills. So even though it's only 2 villager kills, it really starts to put the distance between these two players. DeMu now with a 9 villager lead up against MarineLorD.
MarineLorD is heading out for the boar. That's one of the advantages, to a certain extent, that he's going to have with the Rus over here. He's going to get the boar, he's going to get the bounty for it, and probably the most important thing here is that he can move out with 8 villagers and just have that one tower secure the position. In fact, this is going to be a lovely spot. It's also going to be right on the hunt, and when you place your hunting cabin, it's going to be close to the forest. So he's going to get a lot of passive gold income, and what am I talking about? That's a third TC.
That's a third TC, baby. Yeah, I've seen him do this a couple of times now. He is big on this third TC play. So one interesting thing to note, have a look at his upgrades. He's already got +1 wood as well as +1 food upgrades. And he does this before the second town center. So he utilizes the bounty that you get as the Rus and throws all of that bad boy into those upgrades. He gets them before the town center. And it means that his economy is really kicking quite early on before the second and before the third TC. And it means that even though he's behind on the villager count at the moment, when he does catch up, he's already got that pretty substantial lead when it comes to the economic bonus that he's gained. Because he's had 37 villagers that have had that +15% now for the last 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, the wood upgrade plus the Kremlin bonus together, it just allows you to gather a bunch of wood. In fact, he's floating 800 right now after already dropping 2 extra TCs. So, as you said, getting that upgrade early, it just helps you get that next TC going with the extra wood that you're getting. And now he's going to be on 3. He's down by 11 vills, but with the third TC, he should have an option to catch up.
All right, well, we do start to see teching happening. I can never tell, is that a market or a blacksmith coming down? I would expect it's a blacksmith and not a market because macro at this point should be on point for MarineLorD. But I guess a blacksmith at this point indicates that maybe there's a plan to stay a little bit longer in the feudal age.
He's got a lot of wood. And the French players often stay in feudal age for long themselves, so there might not be a rush here for MarineLorD to go to castle. But this is where the surprise element comes in. DeMu is actually going to be beating him to Castle Age, it seems. Not something that you see every day in a French versus Rus matchup.
Yeah, I'm curious what kind of timings he's going to look for here. We can see that DeMu's heavily on stone, so he could be looking for a third TC himself. He says, you know, we've got the classic case of the greeds coming out. You want to greed on 3 TC, that's fine. I'll greed on 3 TC even better than you because I'm French.
And given how little MarineLorD is contesting map control, that northern spot you mentioned before with the board, the extra hunt, and the gold, that could be a juicy spot for a third TC, and I don't think MarineLorD would stop that.
The alternative, and I'm now seeing that he's still collecting more stone, is we're just going to have a keep instead. So let's take a look at the base for DeMu. Is he just going to put a keep somewhere safe? Has he built this built his base planned out? Have we got the archery range next to the School of Cavalry? Actually, we've got another pickup here. So DeMu bleeding a couple units in this game. Not the impeccable micro that we saw in that first game. Yeah, you can see that there's probably going to be a keep that gets thrown down right there on where that wood line was. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, the numbers here are looking pretty decent from MarineLorD.
Not only that, but he's floating a lot of food and gold. He doesn't have the food he needs for Castle Age. In fact, his food eco is kind of plummeting. You see he's shifting towards the berries. He doesn't yet have the food he needs for Castle Age. He's floating a lot of gold and stone. And MarineLorD has been spending all of his resources on army. So he's pushing him away from the gold. And now MarineLorD is also banking up for Castle. That Castle Age advantage that was seemingly there for DeMu, it seems to be disappearing every moment we speak.
Yeah, you can see MarineLorD's really closing the gap on it right now. Only 197 gold a minute, but I expect that he's probably added a couple more villages over to that recently, and it'll start to spike. But now we do see the Castle Age coming through from DeMu, but he's going to lose a couple of villages out here. MarineLorD sniping away a few, and we will see him take the villager lead very, very soon. These villagers continue running to the top side. There's a lot of army up here, though, so should be able to defend it. The Royal Institute now coming through, completing not a lot of gold in the pocket, though, for him, which means that those upgrades are going to take a little bit longer to come through, and good game is going to get called this early on. DeMu says, you know what? I can't do it. I'm already in a tough spot. Let's just go game number 3. I'm going to rinse you on Dry Arabia.
Oh, man, the timing advantage here for MarineLorD. He saw a potential Castle Age from his opponent, just came in with a slightly larger army, and DeMu was in a tough spot, especially because MarineLorD had those scouts accompanying that army. DeMu tried to flee to the north, but that didn't really matter. He didn't have the army to fight that army off from MarineLorD, and then he just didn't have the opportunity to save those villagers. He couldn't flee, he couldn't hide in the stealth forest, and there was just no more resources left inside his base. Beautiful timing attack here by MarineLorD, and he strikes back very fast. Just sub 15 minutes, he gets 1 point on the board, and now it's an even Steven.
Yeah, now we got ourselves a ball game, ladies and gentlemen. A game number 3, as all good series go to. A game number 3, and the matchup is going to be English versus Abbasid. What a great matchup. We recently saw Beastie take down MarineLorD in this matchup, and Beastie was playing on the English. So if you were ever looking at a precedent for balance at the top level, that would be a good game to go to. And if I remember correctly, it was also on this map as well. So perhaps we see an early men-at-arms coming out from DeMu, look to deny that gold early on. Who knows exactly what he'll go for, but we've got 5 minutes to theorize, Lidakor, because this is a big game for him. If he wins this game, if he pulls this out, it's going to put him in a great spot for the rest of the day. Yeah,
while we have a bit of a downtime here, we can take a look at the scoreboard, the standings right now, to take a look at how things are going, not just for, this set in particular, but the other sets going on at the same time. And of course, the overall standings, because there is also a critical set that's going on the B stream, that is Recon versus B. 2 players, close to elimination. Let's take a look at the standings right now real quickly. As you see, the left side of the screen, they will be the ones advancing to the playoffs after this day if the standings remain the same. Recon right now at the 9th spot. He's battling it out against B, who is at the 7th. Whereas you see over here, MarineLorD is at the 1st spot. And DeMu, just at the brink of getting eliminated from the playoffs. He needs every single game he can pick up. Especially because if you take a look at his map win-loss ratio, that's pretty underwhelming compared to his competitors. So if this comes down to a tiebreaker, he's probably going to fall behind. So for him, every single game matters.
Yeah, you can see that even say on the 9th place Recon's got an 18-11 map difference compared to DeMu, who's on that 16-13. So definitely leaves a little bit to be desired. So he's got to do everything he can to clear out these points and make sure that these series go as well as they can in his favor.
Yeah, just for context, if DeMu loses this upcoming game against MarineLorD and Recon beats B, right now the standings for that is 1-1. So if Recon beats B and DeMu loses here, Recon actually leapfrogs DeMu here. So that would basically mean that for the time being, DeMu falls out of the top 8. Of course, there are 2 more sets to be played. And the last set of the day is B versus DeMu. That's going to be a big one. You see a couple of scores are already in there. I am Magic beating Numadon, sort of right now leading 1-0 against Cat. Vortex beating Magic as well. And of course, we have a couple other sets going on too. For the players ranked 10 to 16, it's a matter of final placement. It's a matter of prize money. For the players ranked 1 to 9, it's still a matter of, okay, only 8 of you will make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It is going to start to heat up throughout this day. That is for sure. I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty pumped to see how it goes, and I'm definitely rooting for DeMu, who's going to be on the English coming up in this game. And you can see right there on your screen right now the scheduled game. So obviously we're on stream A at the moment, but stream B is currently being casted by Mr. Merlin and 10-4 Tim over on that B stream. So if you want to check it out, !B stream in the chat should give it to you. I'll double check and make sure that my exclamation marks are correct. Lidakor, you might be able to help with our exclamation marks.
Indeed, it is the B stream. That's something that we introduced here for the Elite Classic, and we got to give a bit of a shout out to all the guys that worked on this, because for some of them, this was a big jump. Some of them, it was the first time they cast with EGC TV. They've done a terrific job. They have helped us cover as many games as it was possible. This is the last day of the B stream, by the way. From now on, starting tomorrow, every single game that we have remaining in the Elite Classic will be broadcasted here at EGC TV main channel. So I guess this is a good time to give a bit of a shout out to the folks at the B stream, because what they have done throughout this tournament is nothing short of spectacular.
Yeah. We got to give him a big shout out, of course, Mr. Merlin. If you don't know him, an up and coming caster for Age of Empires 4. I know he's got his own YouTube channel. When it comes to Tim was it 10-4 Tim? Obviously 10-4. I suspect he's referencing some military terms right there. And his name's Tim, so that's a good name. I like that. It's got a good ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and of course, one thing that we also need to shout out here is community support. We appreciate all the subs, the bits that have came in. Keep them coming, folks. As you see at the bottom right of the screen, we do have a support goal that we hope to reach. It's going to help us run these events. It's going to help us make sure that we can continue running not just 1, but 2 streams now at the same time. So thank you so much, everybody, for your support. Hopefully, we'll fill that bar by the end of the next weekend, by the end of the Grand Finals.
And just remember, if you do have that Twitch Prime, of course, it is for free, so please, double check and see if you've got it, because it does obviously help the channel out as well. It's free for you guys to be using your Twitch Primes over here, and you get a couple of cool emotes as well. Just remember, we've got some pretty good emotes. Let me see what I can throw out in the chat right now for some EGC TV emotes. Oh, here's a good one right there. The duck. How good is that? That's Lord Petito's duck. Of course, whenever you talk to Lord Petito, for anybody who doesn't know, he just responds with different types of ducks. So if it's a yes, he will send you like a GIF or a GIF, depending on where you are in the world, of a duck just like nodding. Or, sometimes he will just send a duck response as like the emoji, just duck. That's it. Like, hey mate, how you doing today? And he'll just say duck. And it's like, there's a part of me, I technically did meet him, but I still think he might be a duck.
Yeah, I recall one of those instances where one of the players in the Silver League called for an admin help, and he just posted a duck. Oh yeah, this is the one.
The duck is here.
Yeah, Bo3 accidentally embedded a link, and he asked how do I remove an embed? Petito responds with a duck, and then Bo3 is like, I need an answer, not a duck. So Petito just responded with an ego emoji.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to get into game number 3. This will be the final game in this series, of course, a best of 3. Still part of the group stage here in the main event. DeMu is fighting for his life, his main stage or main event life right now. It is imperative that he wins this game, and he is going to start off exactly the way you would expect him to do in this matchup. It is going to be that early barracks coming out for him here on the English.
It's a critical game for DeMu. We've talked about this one in the pregame. His win or loss ratio on maps is pretty bad compared to the competitors who are there to challenge his spot in the playoffs. So for him, winning the set and losing the set is 2 very different scenarios. He wins this, his chances of making the playoffs jump by, let's say, 50% even. Yeah, it's significant, and it's imperative that he does it. We've already seen earlier on today, he played an amazing set, the very first, or amazing game, the first one in this series. The second one didn't go his way.
over quickly. And, that, you know, I think that was the right decision from him. Just tap out, just go to the game number 3. And that's exactly what he's done. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got. But of course, MarineLorD is going to spot out exactly what DeMu's up to. And we can see, look at this scout. Look how greedy of a run he's going for right now. Over on the opposite side of the map. Going to be looking to come back towards the base. But one thing to note is MarineLorD hasn't started on berries in this matchup. He's just starting on sheep.
All right, sheep start only. He's got the Abbasids. Other side is the English, of course. Now, part of that, of course, with the berries could be that he's a little afraid of those men-at-arms, or he simply just doesn't want to risk any kind of idle time here. It's extremely unlikely that he would lose a villager, but it's a matter of idle time. You see, it looks like the men-at-arms will contest the gold mine, but villagers have already been pulled away from there, so not much so far for that men-at-arms for DeMu.
Yeah, the way I like to think about it is he's not necessarily denying, you know, this villager time, but what he's denying is optimization. There are optimal builds that you can be performing right now as the Abbasid dynasty. You want to go, you know, MarineLorD wants to go for the economic wing. And you don't go for the economic wing and avoid the upgrades. You want to get the upgrades. So if DeMu can deny the gold, if he can deny Fertile Crescent coming through, he's going to force MarineLorD's hand to make a stable, to make an archery range, to make units to defend before that second town center comes out, and it buys him time. And that's exactly what he needs right now, because he's going to have a bit of a difficult game in this matchup, but I tell you what, I'm confident in his performance. Let's see how he goes as the age-ups come through.
All right, economy wing is the landmark or the wing of choice here for MarineLorD. On the other side, would be shocking not to see a council hall being dropped, but remains to be seen. DeMu is yet to place his landmark. Yeah, there it goes, council hall. I guess this is an interesting point to raise. We have seen some buffs to the Abbey of the Kings, but it's still not being used extensively. So it's actually a very similar point to what we've discussed in the previous game with the Golden Gate versus the Kremlin. It's just always one of those two landmarks being used.
I think the council hall was just such a hard landmark to overcome, right? Like, you're always going to want longbows throughout the game. You're always going to want crossbows throughout the game, or hand cannoneers in the Imperial Age. Like, and for this civilization, it just makes so much sense. They've got all these different bonuses that add on and make them some of the the best ranged units in the game. And on top of that, you get 2 archery ranges for free. It's a pretty good deal. I mean, you would have to have a great, like, when we're talking about landmarks, that's not an S tier landmark, that is an S plus tier landmark. That is above every other landmark in the game. It is that damn good. So yeah, you're going to have something really, really, really sexy if you want to beat out the council hall. You're going to need a king, and it's going to need to be a cheap king. It's not going to have to be one of those 300 resource kings that we've got at the moment. You know, I think they're bringing the price down. What is it, from 300 down to 120 or something like that? I think I read in the patch notes.
Yeah, something like that, sure. And don't forget, folks, Season 5 is coming very soon, so you better start reading those patch notes, because, you know, soon you'll have to play with those balance changes yourself.
Exactly. All right, well, as we suspected, the archery ranger and the stable now going to come down for MarineLorD. Dropped here immediately. Keep in mind, he has not gathered any gold. He has not gathered any stone at this point. And normally, for an Abbasid enjoyer, you would want to have those resources, whether that's Fertile Crescent coming through, whether that's a wheelbarrow coming through, whether that's a fresh foodstuffs coming through, whether that is even just like your most basic spearman upgrade as well. Not that you'd get it in this matchup, but, you know, it's always something that can be flashed out. Most importantly, you want to be working towards that second town center. And he's not working towards any of that.
Ooh, MarineLorD is opening with a camel archer here. Now, that's not something that you commonly do against that many longbows, but one of the things that often goes underappreciated with the Camel Archer is that it does have a really good base attack. So when it comes to dealing with these 2 initial men-at-arms, that 1 Camel Archer is actually very useful in Feudal.
The problem is that the training time for the Camel Archer is really long. Yep. And it means that by the time that it comes out, there's probably going to be, you know, a handful of longbowmen out here already. And they're going to be easily able to deal with it. So I think DeMu's done a great job of just like realizing, okay, I'm just going to fall back for the moment. Just going to keep everything safe. I don't want to lose anything, you know, even though, you know, I could be throwing away units right now. I don't want to be doing that. And makes the smart decision. So he's got to be careful, though, not to overextend. So MarineLorD obviously has gone for full military at this point. We can see he's now starting to work back on gold, but at the moment, the key focus is going to be these these longbowmen, and you can see him working them down back here. It looks like the paling's not even going to come out, and he's trying his best to focus down the camel, but it's going to be a good trade here for MarineLorD early on in this game. But the spearman finally going to be joining the cause, but you can see it getting picked apart by that single camel. So, oh, nice little attempt there on the micro, but doesn't find the shot.
Well, he does now. Great value, and the thing I appreciate with that initial camel archer is that, as you said, it's one thing it takes a lot of time to train, but this initial army, that 3 horsemen plus 1 camel archer, it had great mobility. It could catch DeMu's army off guard, yoink the longbows, yoink the spearmen. Now MarineLorD is going into archers, but he had that initial mobility advantage, not only with the horsemen, but also with the camel archer.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I guess one thing to note is that at this level, every small advantage counts, because players like MarineLorD can take a small advantage and push that into a larger advantage and continue pushing that until it becomes a gaping hole and you're typing GG at 14 minutes. That's MarineLorD. That's the MarineLorD specialty right there. I probably should avoid using that word. It's quite a descriptive word. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that MarineLorD managed to take out a spearman and I think it was 3 longbowmen. That might not seem like a big detail, but when you're talking, you know, if DeMu's got 7 longbows out now, he could have had 10. And the reality is that those 3 longbows would have been firing the entire time that those 7 longbows are firing. So you're just getting so much more effective damage from them.
It's also about the momentum. Don't forget that with the English, it's always difficult to reinforce that frontline army. You don't want to just trickle units through the map because then they get intercepted. So it's more about building up that large mass, that critical mass that can act as a standalone unit. And when you cut down the numbers initially, it just makes it so much more difficult for DeMu to reach that critical mass that really can assault the enemy base and do something meaningful. You kind of delay this push a little by picking off those initial longbows.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He's in a bit of a tough spot now because MarineLorD's found that second town center. He's going to be working towards a 3rd TC as well, or at least if we expect him to play the same way that he played in that game against Beastie a little bit earlier. I say earlier in the week. Technically, it was last week. But we do see that it's coming up on the gold, so going to be able to secure that gold. So 3rd TC probably going to be going on that hunt at the back, maybe on the berries over towards the east of the base. There's lots of options for him if he does look for it.
And one of the things to be cautious about for MarineLorD is access to wood. Pretty much all accessible wood is at the front, and if there's one thing that the English are really good at, it's denying those resources. In fact, we have seen an instance of that in the B versus MarineLorD set, I think a week and a half or so ago. In that case, B could exploit MarineLorD's weaknesses when it comes to the exposed resources a lot, and it actually culminated in some games being won by B, despite the entire set being won by MarineLorD.
All right, well, we'll have to see how that plays out. You can, I like the way Vodka changed the perspective, and we stopped hearing the Abbasid screams midway through there. It was like, "Ah!" And then it just stopped, and we never knew what they were yelling about, but I'm sure it was painful. But take a look at the numbers that are building up for MarineLorD back here. Despite that second TC, he's already up to double digits now on the archers and continuing to move forward, considering he's got that second archery range down. Also going to be moving into upgrades as well, so looking to pick up that wheelbarrow.
I'm starting to love that single camel archer so much, Aussie. Think about it. It's still alive, and it is so much of a help when it comes to intercepting reinforcements. When you have longbows and you try to trickle them through the map, what do? You send 1 spearman alongside them so that horsemen can't kill them. But when there is 1 camel archer as well, it just makes it so much more difficult for DeMu to reinforce this army.
Yeah, because you've got to send a couple now, and then it becomes a lot more difficult. But let's take a look at the upgrades for MarineLorD. I'm curious whether he's hit some of his timings yet. So obviously we can see he's grabbed the wheelbarrow. He's gone for Fertile Crescent, I would assume. Has he picked up fresh foodstuffs though? Let's take a look at his town center and see if we can get a bit of an idea at how the man's economy is starting to track. Yes, he has. All right, we got our answer. So fresh foodstuffs is through. I know in the game that he played last week that it took him a bit of time to get through it, but we start to see those longbows trying to dish out the damage on the front line. Spear's going to move forward here. They get picked out by the archers. Speaking of archers, I mean, there's just so many here, right? 17 archers, but DeMu's still going to be able to hold now. He's going to be careful of the amount of longbows that he's losing. Now that these horsemen have made it to the front line, we can see that they're getting some pretty decent damage out here take a look at this. MarineLorD starting to lose out on those Archer numbers, and DeMu really starting to push it to the metal. And look at this, Men-at-Arms now coming through as well. Hold the horses, ladies and gentlemen. MarineLorD in a little bit of trouble in Paradise.
Yeah, just not enough horsemen to deal with the longbows, and once the horseman front was gone, the archers cannot fight against the longbows and the men-at-arms. Now DeMu's got a great position, and notice that he's shutting down all the lumberjacks. Lovely to see him drop the tower. As you said, pedal to the metal. Now it's his time to push. If he gets line of sight on those lumberjacks, this could be a massacre.
And look at the men-at-arms switch right now. He's got 8 men-at-arms coming out. This is massive. And it's very difficult to deal with men-at-arms in the feudal age, but fortunately, Abbasid have a way to deal with that. And that's typically through the camel archer. However, English have got a trump card up their sleeve, and that's the longbowman, which just excels at taking out the camel archer. So this is a difficult composition right now for MarineLorD to deal with.
It's also the timing factor. You mentioned this, camel archers take so much time to build. And if there's one thing that MarineLorD doesn't have, is time. Now with the second tower coming up, the gold mine will be denied, the forest is denied, and you will see MarineLorD's wood income just plummet in a blink of an eye. And when you want to go into horsemen, archers, you cannot do that without wood.
For me, the big thing here is food control, and it's interesting that DeMu's anchoring towards the south side of the base, because I think this side doesn't really need to be shut down that much. I mean, as long as you've got the one tower out here, it should be okay. The main attraction to me is that north side. You're talking about double deer packs, double berry patches. If you can come through on this with men-at-arms, you're going to cut MarineLorD's head off before he's even able to open his mouth and feed it, because he's got no food. Let's see if he's able to realize that, though.
I think now with the towers up, he's going to shift focus. He just wanted to shut down the wood first. Defensive tower coming in here for MarineLorD, but he's up against 9 men-at-arms. And I think that tower is outside the range of the House of Wisdom, so the extra fire armor does not apply to that. Still, this will push away DeMu, which means MarineLorD does have safe access to wood, and he does have safe access to food.
But for how much longer? He's got 26 archers out, which is nice, but DeMu's got the ranged armor in now as well, which means that he's going to be taking less damage from these archers. They're barely going to be scratching these men-at-arms. DeMu looking solid now on that south side. Going to start posturing around the wood line. Still up towards the north. MarineLorD happily on that food. You can see that he's spamming out units at this point, trying his best to get everything out as quickly as he possibly can. He's up to 30 archers now. 26 longbowmen on the other side, though. And remember, DeMu's got the option to throw down a battering ram. It's exactly what he does here. He's going to be able to defend all of his units as well as start pushing through on that outpost. And we can see that MarineLorD has yet to fortify that outpost. He's getting the arrow slits for it now. He's slowly trickling in a little bit more stone, so he's going to be looking to fortify it soon. It's going to take at least another 60 seconds before he's going to be able to afford it, let alone upgrade it. Lidakor, I think he's in trouble.
Archer numbers are close, but don't forget, you will have the attack aura here. Plus, you have the men-at-arms to tank up all the arrow fire. Here comes the battering ram. It looks like MarineLorD will just pull back for the time being. He's going to forfeit his position here. Now thinks twice of this and he's charging in.
Yeah, the numbers here looking pretty solid for DeMu. You can see him continuing to kite back. Looks like the battering ram might start copping a little bit of damage to the front. The villager's going to be able to jump out and start repairing up that outpost. Battering ram still battering down the hatches. It looks like he's able to keep up the outpost, and with that, the position is held for the moment. MarineLorD, it looks like instead he's just going to commit to it. He's bringing out the men-at-arms. Everybody, the whole kit and caboodle is coming. He's going to be careful not to overcommit in this situation. And once again, the villager's coming out to repair. The outpost is eternal. It will not go down. The men-at-arm numbers have begun to dwindle, and has the man committed to an outpost that was never doomed to go down. Men-at-arms numbers are dwindling. We can see the longbows have managed to pick a nice little pocket back here, and he's able to keep their numbers down. 32 versus 32, and a second battering ram comes down. DeMu is holding on in this series. He's really looking to push it down now.
He was so close to destroying that tower. I think if the next volley from the longbows focuses on the tower, not the archer, he could have possibly picked it off. But now the tower lives, as you said, and that just means that MarineLorD is still sitting at a defendable position, now banking up resources, and the army numbers getting closer and closer. Are we seeing a shrinking momentum here from DeMu, Aussie?
It could be the case that we're seeing it. I mean, the second town center for MarineLorD is going to start paying off right now, and he definitely got a favorable trade in that last fight. So it's starting to feel a little bit better for him. But look at this, a sneaky little beaky counter-terrorist coming in on the south side as the longbows begin to tee off on the villagers. He's going to be losing vills everywhere right now. But fortunately, it's only 2 that go down on this wood line on the south side of the base. Fortunately, he manages to come out of here relatively unscathed. But look at this. We've now got a 3rd ram coming down, and he is looking to change gears here. Instead of hitting that little expansion over towards the east, he says, we're going for the throat. Let's go. Second town center.
He's going for the gold, Aussie. He's realizing that MarineLorD could be thinking about the castle age behind this one. Shutting down the gold would prevent that. And of course, he can also take down the second TC over here. It's a much weaker structure than the initial TC is. And MarineLorD will be forced to fight this.
Good luck, MarineLorD. You're going to need it, mate. This is not an easy fight for you to take. The triple battering ram are going to take out that town center. He's going to need a lot more villagers than he's got at the moment repairing it, but he's managing to keep it alive, continuing to kite back. We can see those bills holding on for dear life of this town center, and it looks like they're going to commit to taking down the battering rams, but it looks like the town center may fall, still holding on. The longbow numbers are starting to fall as well. He's down to 26. MarineLorD with an advantage of about 30. The town center does fall. The villagers continue to chase it. And instead of DeMu looking to focus down those villagers, he's going to try and focus down the archers. The villager numbers are in favor of MarineLorD slightly. He's got a lead of about 9 at the moment, 8, 7, somewhere in that region. But the numbers somehow for DeMu are starting to turn. Lidakor, this game is incredible right now.
It is. DeMu is doing something very similar to what B has done against MarineLorD, just kind of trying to suffocate him with these towers and the longbows. But even in that set, we have seen how good of a defender MarineLorD is. He has had some spectacular defenses throughout this entire tournament, and this is not short from any of that either. He's doing a really good job keeping his position safe. He lost the TC, but he inflicted heavy casualties on DeMu. And DeMu is doing a really good job pushing his base, but MarineLorD, he's making him fight for every single inch.
Yeah. MarineLorD still has that 7 villager lead at the moment, though. Could be looking for a second town center soon. We can see he's got 160 stone in the bank, so not far off it if he wants to. But my fear is that even if he goes for that second TC, he's under a lot of pressure right now. You're talking about an English player who's got wheelbarrow, double broadaxe, horticulture, has got all of their farming upgrades in. Take a look at their farming economy back on. I would suspect he's probably sitting on somewhere in the region of about 24 farms right now for DeMu. He is set up in this feudal age. He is so happy right now. He is so comfy in this feudal age. And there they are, all 24 farms, happily sitting underneath that town center. Exactly as you'd expect. Look at that. Beautiful.
You said he is set up in feudal age, but that's not for too long. He's heading towards castle age. He will likely have the King's Palace, and that means that he can start catching up on the villager count now. Plus, he's going to have the castle age upgrades on the longbows, the men-at-arms especially. That's where things will get dicey for MarineLorD. He's got no access to gold, his food income is underwhelming, and he's also going to get pushed here on the wood line.
Yeah, this is starting to be a more and more difficult spot, because as you mentioned, once castle age comes through, you're going to see a second town center. It's the King's Palace thrown down. But that's not the kicker. The kicker is that men-at-arm upgrade. You're talking about castle age men-at-arms with armor cladding against a feudal age army and a man with no gold. I think this is looking increasingly difficult for MarineLorD to come back from. DeMu going to push in now, despite the age up coming through, making the huge, I guess you could technically call it a mistake of aging up and pushing at the same time. He's trying his best to hold on with the numbers that he's got, and he's going to be able to do it, managing to force back those horsemen despite the age up coming through. DeMu is giving us a masterclass right now in the English.
He's dodged a bullet here, Aussie. He could have lost that army. If MarineLorD decides to trade it off, then DeMu's castle age advantage won't account for that much. But with that army alive, he's going to get to castle age. He can start buffing up those men-at-arms. In fact, right now the starting TC is kind of undefended, so he could also push this. And as Vodka is highlighting to us, MarineLorD virtually has no food eco, no gold eco, and it's going to get very difficult to fight one age behind.
Man, I was about to say, does he just tap out right now? For me, I would just tap out when I see the good game, or when I see the castle age, I'm like, nah, it's not happening. Like, no chance, baby. Like, you look at the economy for MarineLorD, as you pointed out, right, as Vodka was alluding to. There is barely any food income. He's got a whole bunch of wood that's stacked up. He's going to transition to farms right now. It's going to be a slow transition. He's got no access to gold. And guess what? Those battering ram numbers, they are not... They're only increasing at this point. And look at the upgrades that are coming through. There's your veterancy on the men-at-arms. There's your veterancy coming through on your longbowmen. Now we've got +2 ranged attack coming in, so you've got 10 damage on each of these longbows. And the longbow numbers, I mean, they're not amazing. It's about half of where the archers are at, but hey, you've got very strong units right now.
MarineLorD has about 3 minutes to try and take a fight and turn this game around, because DeMu's got 750 stone in the bank, and nothing is defending that starting TC or the House of Wisdom. At this point, DeMu can start ramming it down, DeMu can drop a castle right next to it, get network of citadels, and there is nothing from MarineLorD that could prevent defeat through the landmarks for MarineLorD. So it's now or never.
It really is. You can feel it coming right now. MarineLorD has to put this defense on. And we do see now the stone has been used up by DeMu. I'm not sure exactly where that keep is going to be coming down. Might be looking for it on the front line. We may have to check in a little bit further to the south, but it's going to be happening. And you can see him working at that the House of Wisdom. That'll give him an indication on the age up, whether there's that age up coming through or not. But he wants to try and... He goes for a really safe keep here. Instead of looking to finish the game, just plays it safe. Says, you know what? I need this gold secure. I'm just going to secure it. And look, maybe it's the smart move. There's a potential for a counter attack to come through here as well.
Yeah, he doesn't want to throw away the game. He feels like his position is fine, and he just doesn't want to risk anything. He may have been able to drop this on the front, but he plays it safe. Now we'll have to take a fight against the archers. Numbers looking a lot better here for MarineLorD, but the upgrades are favoring DeMu quite a bit.
Yeah. Keep in mind, even though he's going to be losing a lot of the longbows here really quickly, the men-at-arms are just going to stay alive for so long. These guys don't die, and he's just going to continue pumping them. We can see he's got 6 men-at-arms in the queue. He's technically got 26 men-at-arms. I only see about 12 on the screen at the moment. You can see just how much damage they're able to do. Just these guys right now, they're like the Bee Gees. They're just staying alive.
And here comes the Horde. This is only a fraction, it's the tip of the iceberg only that MarineLorD has seen from DeMu's army. He might feel confident saying, I can hold this. I've seen that you have lost a lot of longbows. You only have a handful of men-at-arms. But when this second wave arrives, boy oh boy, will MarineLorD be in trouble.
Yeah, this is starting to look a little bit concerning. He might need to save some of that wood that he's got all in there for the farms and look at repairing his House of Wisdom. But he is going to click the military wing. It's going to be 1 minute and 45 seconds. It's a long time to wait for an age up, especially when there's another battering ram coming down towards your base.
Yeah, don't forget, once you lose the House of Wisdom, you lose your torch resistance for your buildings, including your starting TC. That's part of the reason why DeMu is prioritizing that landmark. And of course, you could lose your castle age here if the men-at-arms just charge in. You can see the landmark being built, so DeMu knows fully well that MarineLorD is aging.
Yeah, and he can protect this battering ram. As long as the ram stays alive, there is a real threat right now. You can see the men-at-arms going up onto those villages that are going through or looking to repair on that House of Wisdom. He's going to be able to idle them out. Keep in mind, MarineLorD can always look to pop them out on the other side of the TC and take out that battering ram as it begins working on that House of Wisdom. Meanwhile, the men-at-arms just continue rampaging through the base right now of the Abbasid. Keep an eye out on that House of Wisdom. That's what we're going to be looking at here. The men-at-arms aren't going to die, and you know what? Neither is DeMu, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 3 going over to the Englishman, and we are going to see the man coming back, and he's going to be so damn happy about that victory. A massive upset in the 3rd game today, and it's going to mean that DeMu is a very happy gamer.
MarineLorD has lost only 1 out of 12 sets that he has played in this tournament. And DeMu, when he needs it the most to make the playoffs, he's going to get this win, and this puts him at such an advantageous position against the other competitors eyeing for that spot. Recon, B. As you said, it's an upset based on the performances of these two players in the tournament so far, and it comes at the best possible time for DeMu. What a spectacle from him. And I can tell you that right now, he's just non-stop smiling because this is huge with capital letters.
Yeah, this is good stuff, right? Like we are seeing, is DeMu possibly the kryptonite of MarineLorD? Perhaps. We'll have to wait and see. But I tell you what, we just got to witness something of beauty. We saw an absolute masterclass throughout this series from DeMu. The first game, Chinese against the Holy Roman Empire. Not a single mistake made that game. Everything was on point. And then once again, in that game number 3, well, let's not talk about game number 2. That was a write-off. Game number 3, once again, just absolute perfection coming down. All the decision-making was just so solid throughout that game. So very well done to DeMu. And congratulations go over to him for winning the set, because as we talked about, that's going to put him in a prime spot for later on in the day where it's going to really matter as to who wins those games, because we are going to be talking about, whether people make it through to the finals or not.